Today, we are talking about something you probably drive over all the time without a second thought, the railroad crossing. But these are places where a single mistake, one moment of bad judgment, can have absolutely devastating consequences. So we're going to break down exactly how to handle them and, if the worst happens, how to survive.
All right, let's just jump right into the deep end with a pop quiz. Picture this, your car dies right on the tracks. You hear that train horn blaring. You have seconds, literally seconds, to make a choice. Which way do you run? The answer is probably not what you think, and by the end of this, you'll know exactly what to do and why it is so important.
So first things first, we have to get our heads around the physics involved here. It's not just about a train being big and heavy. It's about a level of momentum that is just, well, it's almost impossible for our brains to really process because we're so used to how cars work. Yeah, look at that. Over 1 mile. That's how long it takes a typical 6,000-ton freight train to make an emergency stop. We're talking 18 football fields. Your car can stop in a few hundred feet. A train? It just can't. It's not even playing the same game. And this quote, wow, it just says it all, doesn't it? By the time the person driving the train can even see you, it's already over. They're completely powerless. They can pull the brake, but the physics has already made the decision. That's why 100% of the responsibility falls on us, the people at the crossing. But it's not just the train's unstoppable force you have to worry about. The crossing itself can set a trap for you. You might have trees or buildings blocking your view. And then there's something horribly common called the second train surprise. This happens on tracks with more than one line. One train passes, you think you're clear, you start to go, and boom, a second train, coming from the opposite direction, was completely hidden by the first one. It's a tragic and all too common mistake. So, if we know the train can't stop for us, and the environment can be tricky, our only real line of defense is the warning system itself. We have to trust the technology. So, let's get into how it actually works. Okay, so railroad crossings basically come in 2 flavors. You have passive ones, which are just signs, the crossbook, that big X, and maybe a stop sign. At these, it's all on you. You have to stop, look both ways, and listen. Then you have active crossings. These are the ones with the whole show, the flashing lights, the ringing bells, and the gates that come down. They are actively telling you a train is coming. And this is where it gets really clever. You ever wonder about that? How does a set of lights and gates, sometimes out in the middle of nowhere, know that a multi-thousand-ton train is speeding towards it from miles up the track? Well, the technology is actually genius in how simple it is. It's called a track circuit. Just think of the 2 steel rails as being part of a giant, open electrical circuit. They have a tiny bit of voltage running through them. Now, when a train's big metal wheels and axles roll over that section, they connect the 2 rails. It completes the circuit, or technically creates a short circuit. The system down at the crossing detects that change in the current, and that's the trigger. The warning lights go on, the bells start ringing. The train itself is the switch. And here's the best part. The whole system is designed to be fail-safe. What that means is, if anything goes wrong, like the power gets cut or a wire breaks, the system defaults to its safest state. The lights will start flashing and the gates will come down. It's built on the principle that a false alarm is infinitely better than no alarm at all. Okay, so we've covered the physics and the technology. That's the how it works part. Now let's talk about the what you do part, these simple everyday rules that will keep you safe so you never have to use the emergency plan. These 3 things are absolute. They're not suggestions. First, obey the signals. If those gates are down, they are down for a reason. Don't ever drive around them. Second, and this is a big one, in traffic, never stop on the tracks. Before you even start to cross, look ahead and make sure there's enough room for your entire vehicle on the other side. And third, just be alert. Put your phone down. If it's foggy or snowing, turn the music down and crack a window. You can often hear a train long before you'll ever see it. All right, now we have to talk about the scenario that we all hope we never, ever face. But you have to have a plan. You have to know what to do if the absolute worst happens. So there it is. The engine cuts out. You turn the key, nothing. You're completely stuck. Your heart is pounding. You hear the horn. What you do in the next few seconds is everything. This is the plan. 3 steps. Memorize them. 1. Get out. Immediately. Don't even think about the car. It's just a chunk of metal. Get everyone out now. Don't try to restart it. Don't grab your phone. Just get out. 2, and here's that weird part, you are going to run towards the train, but at an angle away from the tracks. And 3, only when you are in a safe place do you call for help. I know. It sounds completely insane. Run towards the giant thing of metal coming to destroy my car? Your every instinct is going to scream at you to run away from it. But you have to fight that instinct. This is pure physics, and it is probably the most critical life-saving tip in this whole explainer. Let's break it down. When that locomotive hits your car, it's not just going to crush it. It's going to act like a giant scoop and throw the wreckage forward, down the tracks, in the same direction the train is moving. This creates a huge debris field of flying metal. If you run away from the train, you are running directly into that path of deadly shrapnel. By running towards the train at an angle, you get yourself away from the tracks and, crucially, out of that cone of flying debris. Okay, so about that third step, calling for help. Once you're safe, look for this sign. It's a blue and white sign called the Emergency Notification System, or ENS sign. It is posted at every single crossing. It gives you a phone number that goes directly to the railroad's emergency dispatch, and most importantly, a unique ID number for that exact spot. You give them that number and they can radio the train engineer immediately. Whew, okay, that was a lot and it was intense, but it's all so important. So let's just boil this all down to the absolute core takeaways you need to lock into your brain. Really, it all comes down to these three things. Number one, respect the physics. A train is an unstoppable force. It will always win. Number two, understand and trust the warnings. Those lights and gates are your best friend. They know what's coming way before you do. And number three, master the emergency plan. Get out, run towards the train at an angle, and find that little blue sign to make the call. So I'll leave you with this to think about. We have fantastic, reliable technology. We understand the physics perfectly, and yet accidents still happen. And when they do, it's almost always because of a human choice. Somebody got impatient and went around a gate, or they were distracted, or they panicked. So maybe the real challenge isn't the technology anymore. Maybe it's just our own human discipline, having the patience and the focus to listen to the warnings we're given. Something to think about next time you pull up to the tracks.
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.